Hello, everyone, and welcome to English Lane, a place where learning English becomes a journey of self-growth and inspiration. Today, I want you to take a slow breath, clear your mind, and listen carefully. Because this lesson is not just about words, it's about transformation. You're about to learn the secret that separates the successful from the struggling, the focused from the distracted, the achievers from the dreamers. That secret is self-discipline, the invisible force that shapes every great life. In this powerful session, you will learn 12 deep principles that will help you master your habits, control your emotions, stay consistent, overcome procrastination, and keep moving forward, even when motivation fades. You will discover how discipline gives direction to your dreams, how small decisions build strong character, and how mastering yourself becomes the foundation of mastering life. And as always, this lesson is also your English practice. You'll train your listening, your focus, and your ability to understand long, natural English in a calm, inspiring rhythm. So find a quiet place, sit back, and let these words remind you of what's already inside you: strength, focus, and power. Because once you understand the power of self-discipline, your entire life begins to change. Your journey starts now. Lesson 1. Understand what self-discipline really is. Self-discipline is one of the most misunderstood qualities in the world. Many people think discipline means forcing yourself to work endlessly, sacrificing happiness, or living a strict and painful life. But this belief is completely wrong. True self-discipline is gentle, intelligent, and deeply empowering. It is not about punishing yourself. It is about guiding yourself. It is not about fighting your emotions. It is about training them. It is not about removing joy. It is about creating a life where joy becomes meaningful. Real discipline is the ability to choose your future over your impulses. It is the quiet strength inside you that says, "I will not let my temporary feelings decide my long-term destiny." It is the inner voice that reminds you that comfort may feel good now, but growth feels good forever. Most people do not lack discipline because they are weak. They lack discipline because they never understood what it truly means. Discipline is not something you use only when life becomes difficult. It is a daily relationship with yourself. It is the promise you make every morning. I will do what is right for my future, even if my emotions argue, even if my mind complains, even if my body feels tired. Discipline means you respect yourself enough to take actions that protect your goals. It means you trust yourself enough to follow through. It means you love yourself enough to stop sabotaging your own life. The truth is, your emotions will always try to control your decisions. Your mind will always try to choose the easiest path. Your body will always try to avoid discomfort. But discipline is the part of you that steps forward and says, "I understand you want comfort, but we are choosing progress today." And the more you practice this, the easier it becomes. At first, discipline feels difficult, but eventually discipline becomes freedom. Freedom from regret. Freedom from guilt. Freedom from wasted time. Freedom from a life that feels stuck. Discipline is also deeply connected to identity. If you see yourself as someone who is weak, you will act weak. If you see yourself as someone who quits easily, you will quit. But if you begin to see yourself as someone who follows through, someone who is strong, capable, consistent, and committed, your behaviors will naturally shift. Your identity shapes your habits more than motivation ever can. Self-discipline becomes effortless when you align your identity with the person you want to become, not the person you used to be. This is why the most successful people in the world are not the ones with the biggest goals. They are the ones with the strongest discipline. They understand that success is built on small, repeated actions, not big emotional moments. They understand that discipline is the foundation of confidence. When you keep your promises to yourself, you begin to trust your own strength. You begin to believe that you are capable of anything you commit to, and that belief can change your entire life. Self-discipline is not about being perfect. It is about being committed. It is about failing, learning, adjusting, and continuing. It is about taking responsibility for your growth, your time, your energy, and your future. When you understand this, discipline stops being something you fear. It becomes something you rely on, something that supports you, something that shapes you, something that carries you toward the life you want. Lesson 2. Build the habit of showing up, even on days you don't feel like it. One of the greatest truths about self-discipline is this: anyone can work when they feel motivated, but only disciplined people work when they don't feel like it. Motivation is beautiful, but it is temporary. It rises, it falls, it disappears without warning. But discipline is steady, stable, and reliable. It is the ability to show up on days when your mind feels heavy, when your body feels tired, when your emotions feel low, and when everything inside you says, "Not today." Those are the moments that separate ordinary lives from extraordinary ones. Successful people are not the ones who wait for perfect energy, perfect mood, or perfect circumstances. They simply show up. They show up tired. They show up uncertain. They show up stressed. They show up afraid. But they show up. And because they show up, they win. Most people think they need motivation first and action later, but the truth is the opposite. Action creates motivation. When you start a task, even without feeling ready, your brain enters motion. It begins to wake up. It begins to focus. It begins to feel capable again. The first 5 minutes are always the hardest because your emotions resist change. Your body wants comfort. Your mind wants familiarity. But once you begin, once you take that first small step, everything becomes easier. The resistance fades. The task becomes lighter. Your mind becomes clearer. And the feeling of progress gives you the motivation you were waiting for. This is why disciplined people don't ask, "Do I feel like it?" They ask only, "What needs to be done?" Showing up is not about working perfectly. It's not about doing a lot. It is about building a simple habit. I will always begin. Even if you study for 10 minutes, even if you exercise for 5, even if you clean one corner of the room, even if you write 2 sentences, you are training your brain to trust you. You are proving to yourself that your commitment is stronger than your excuses. And once your brain begins to trust you, your confidence becomes unshakable. Because nothing builds inner strength faster than consistency. There is another truth. Discipline grows the most on difficult days. Anyone can work when life feels easy. But when you show up during stress, sadness, confusion, and weakness, you reshape your identity. You begin to see yourself as someone who does not break under pressure. You begin to see yourself as someone who can push through discomfort. You begin to see yourself as someone who can rely on their own strength. and that identity stays with you for the rest of your life. Small actions, repeated consistently, beat big actions done occasionally. 5 minutes every day is more powerful than 2 hours once a week. One small commitment done daily builds the strongest discipline. So instead of waiting for perfect conditions, simply show up. Even imperfect effort builds a perfect habit over time. Even small progress creates massive transformation when repeated long enough. Your future will thank you for the days when you showed up, even when you didn't feel like it. Lesson 3. Remove distractions before they remove your future. One of the most painful truths in life is that people do not lose their dreams because they are incapable. They lose their dreams because they are distracted. Most failures are not caused by a lack of intelligence, talent, or opportunity. They are caused by small distractions that quietly eat away time, energy, and potential. A 5-minute scroll becomes 30 minutes. One notification breaks 10 minutes of focus. A quick look at social media becomes a long rabbit hole. And day after day, these small moments steal the life you could have built. A distracted mind cannot build a disciplined life. A phone that constantly interrupts you cannot support your goals. A room filled with noise cannot protect your concentration. A life filled with temptations cannot build consistency. So the first step toward discipline is not working harder. It is removing what breaks your focus. Your phone does not need to be near you while working. Your notifications do not need to vibrate every few minutes. Every app on your device does not need your attention. Most of the world does not need you instantly. You are not meant to respond to life every second. You are meant to create life with intention. Distractions are not just digital, they are emotional. The fear of missing out, the habit of checking, the addiction to quick pleasure, the constant desire for entertainment. These small cravings weaken your mind like fire weakens a rope. Every time you choose distraction over discipline, you train your brain to escape instead of endure. You teach yourself to run from difficulty instead of growing through it. And slowly, without noticing, discipline becomes harder and harder. Not because the task is difficult, but because your mind has forgotten how to stay. Removing distractions is not just about cleaning your environment. It is about strengthening your identity. When you silence your phone, you are telling your mind, "My focus is important." When you keep your device in another room, you are telling yourself, "My future matters more than my impulses." When you close unnecessary tabs, you are saying, "I choose clarity over chaos." These small decisions shape your discipline. They build a mental environment where your best self can grow. If you want a disciplined life, build a disciplined space. If you want focused habits, create a focused environment. If you want to rise above the ordinary, you must protect your attention like gold. Because your future doesn't disappear in one big mistake. It disappears slowly, quietly, softly, in the tiny distractions you allow every day. Lesson 4. Master the art of doing one thing deeply instead of many things poorly. One of the biggest lies modern life teaches us is that multitasking makes us more productive. People proudly say, "I can do many things at once," not realizing that multitasking is not a strength. It is a slow, silent destruction of your concentration. The human mind was never designed to hold multiple tasks with equal focus. Every time you switch tasks, even for 5 seconds, your brain loses energy. You break your flow, you weaken your momentum, you scatter your attention into small pieces, and a scattered mind cannot build a strong life. Discipline grows through singular focus, the ability to choose one task, one goal, one responsibility, one challenge, and dive into it with full presence. When you give your complete attention to one thing, your mind becomes sharper, your understanding becomes deeper, and your progress becomes faster. You enter a state of flow where time slows down, distractions disappear, and you feel fully alive in what you are doing. This is the magic of deep focus. This is where excellence is born. This is where discipline becomes enjoyable instead of painful. Multitasking might make you feel busy, but focus makes you effective. Multitasking gives you movement, but focus gives you achievement. Multitasking spreads your mind thinner and thinner, but focus builds your mind stronger and stronger. Most people fail not because they lack talent, but because they divide their energy across too many tasks. They open multiple tabs, start multiple goals, chase multiple dreams, and end up completing none of them. They confuse activity with progress. They confuse busyness with discipline. They confuse motion with direction. But disciplined people know the truth. Your life becomes powerful the moment you stop doing everything and start doing the right thing. Doing one thing deeply is not just about productivity. It's about identity. It trains your mind to be stable. It teaches your brain to hold attention. It strengthens your ability to resist impulses. It creates mental toughness. When you sit with one task without switching, your mind learns patience. Your mind learns endurance. Your mind learns to stay. And once your mind learns to stay, discipline becomes natural. You no longer need to fight yourself. You no longer feel overwhelmed by distractions. You no longer chase everything. You choose wisely. If you want to transform your life, choose one thing and give it your full focus. Study deeply. Work deeply. Listen deeply. Plan deeply. Create deeply. Even if you spend only 30 minutes a day with one focused task, it is more powerful than spending 3 hours jumping between 10 different tasks. 1 hour of deep focus is worth more than an entire day of fragmented attention. Your life changes the moment you realize this. Success is not built by how much you do. It is built by how deeply you do it. The world rewards depth, not surface-level effort. Your dreams require depth, not divided attention. Your future deserves your best focus, not your leftover energy. Lesson 5. Train your mind to do difficult things on purpose. Most people avoid difficult tasks because they believe difficulty is a sign that something is wrong. But disciplined people understand the opposite. Difficulty is a sign that something is growing. When a task feels uncomfortable, boring, or mentally heavy, it means your brain is being stretched beyond its comfort zone. And just like muscles grow by pushing against resistance, your discipline grows by doing things that challenge you. If you only do what is easy, your life will always remain small. But when you learn to do difficult things on purpose, your life begins to expand. The mind is like a child. It always wants the easiest path, the fastest pleasure, the quickest escape. If you train it to avoid discomfort, it becomes weaker every day. But if you guide it gently into difficult work, even for a few minutes, it learns strength. It learns patience. It learns endurance. It learns how to stay. You don't have to force yourself to love difficulty. You only have to teach your brain that difficulty is not danger. It is growth. It is expansion. It is the doorway to your future. When you pick a difficult task, reading deeply, learning something new, exercising, studying a complex topic, practicing English listening, writing, focusing, your brain will resist. It will whisper excuses. It will try to escape. But this resistance is not a sign of weakness. It is a sign that your mind is stepping into a stronger version of you. Every time you push through that resistance, even for a little bit, you build mental toughness. You build emotional discipline. You build the ability to act even when your feelings disagree. Disciplined people are not born stronger. They have simply practiced doing what most people avoid. They choose the harder road, not because they enjoy pain, but because they understand that easy choices create a hard life, and hard choices create an easy life. When you choose comfort now, you suffer later. But when you choose growth now, you rise later. This is the equation of discipline. Doing difficult things also builds self-respect. When you avoid challenges, a part of you feels disappointed in yourself. But when you face difficulty head-on, even if you fail, you feel proud. Your inner voice becomes kinder. Your confidence becomes stronger. You begin to trust yourself because you see that you don't run away anymore. Start small. Do one difficult thing every day. Wake up early. Study for an extra 15 minutes. Say no to distractions. Finish the task you've been avoiding. Listen to a long English lesson without checking your phone. These small acts create a powerful identity inside you. The identity of someone who can handle pressure, overcome resistance, and choose growth over comfort. Life will always present you with two paths: the easy one and the meaningful one. Discipline is choosing the meaningful one even when the easy one feels tempting. And once you train your mind to do difficult things, nothing in life can stop you. Lesson 6. Learn to control your emotions, or your emotions will control your life. Self-discipline is impossible without emotional discipline. Most people think they fail because they are lazy. But the truth is, they fail because their emotions control their decisions. When they feel tired, they quit. When they feel stressed, they avoid. When they feel scared, they run. When they feel unmotivated, they stop. Emotions are powerful, but they are not always truthful. They often exaggerate fear, amplify discomfort, and create imaginary obstacles that keep you far away from your goals. Disciplined people do not have fewer emotions. They simply do not allow emotions to decide their entire life. They feel fear, but they act anyway. They feel tired, but they show up. They feel discomfort, but they stay steady. They feel overwhelmed, but they keep moving. They understand that emotions are temporary visitors, sometimes helpful, sometimes harmful, but never deserving of full control. Your feelings may influence you, but they should never be the authority over your future. Emotional discipline begins with awareness. When you feel resistance, ask yourself, is this emotion trying to protect me or just trying to keep me comfortable? Most of the time, emotions aren't protecting you. They are simply trying to reduce effort. Your brain loves comfort because comfort requires no energy. But comfort never changes your life. Comfort never builds greatness. Comfort never creates the future you want. To master discipline, you must learn to act based on your values, not your moods. The key is simple but powerful. Separate your feelings from your actions. You can feel unmotivated and still study. You can feel nervous and still start. You can feel sad and still move forward. You can feel bored and still continue. You can feel uncertain and still take the next step. When your actions are no longer controlled by your emotions, discipline becomes unstoppable. Another important truth is this: emotions pass, but consequences stay. The emotion that tells you don't study today will disappear in 10 minutes, but the regret will stay for years. The emotion that tells you skip the workout will fade quickly, but the weakness will remain. The emotion that tells you procrastinate feels strong now, but the missed opportunity becomes permanent. Successful people remember this. They know emotions are short-lived, but results last forever. You don't need to eliminate emotions. You simply need to guide them. Breathe when your mind gets loud. Pause when your emotions rise. Observe your feelings without becoming their slave. Act according to your purpose, not according to your impulses. When you learn emotional discipline, you unlock a new level of freedom. The freedom to continue even when everything inside you wants to stop. This is where true strength is born. This is where real self-discipline begins. Lesson 7. Break the cycle of procrastination. Before it becomes your identity, procrastination is not a small habit. It is a silent destroyer. It destroys dreams, confidence, opportunities, and potential. It slowly eats away your belief in yourself. And the most dangerous part is this: when you procrastinate for a long time, it becomes part of your identity. You stop saying, "I procrastinated." You start saying, "I am a procrastinator." And once a behavior becomes identity, escaping it becomes even harder. But the truth is, procrastination is not who you are. It is only a pattern your mind has learned to repeat. And anything that is learned can be unlearned with awareness and discipline. Procrastination does not happen because you are lazy. It happens because your brain is trying to protect you from discomfort. When a task feels overwhelming, your mind exaggerates the difficulty. When you fear failure, your mind convinces you to delay. When you feel uncertain, your mind pushes you toward comfort. Procrastination is simply the brain choosing short-term relief over long-term progress. The problem is that this short-term relief creates long-term suffering. Stress before deadlines, guilt at the end of the day, anxiety about the future, and a painful awareness that you are capable of more but not living up to it. The first step to breaking procrastination is understanding this truth. You don't need to finish the task. You only need to start the task. The mind fears the whole mountain, but it can handle one step. When you tell your brain, "I will do this for 5 minutes," you trick the resistance. Your brain relaxes because 5 minutes doesn't feel threatening. And once you start, something magical happens. You continue. Because the hardest part of any task is not the task itself. It is the first few minutes. Once momentum begins, the resistance fades. You enter motion, and motion creates discipline. Another powerful strategy is reducing the size of the task. Instead of saying, "I will study for 2 hours," say, "I will study 1 page." Instead of saying, "I will clean the whole room," say, "I will clean 1 corner." Instead of saying, "I will work out fully," say, "I will do 5 minutes of movement." The mind loves small beginnings. Small beginnings become daily habits. And daily habits build identity. Soon, you stop being someone who procrastinates and become someone who starts, even if the start is small. You must also understand that procrastination grows in an environment of confusion. When your goals are unclear, your brain delays. When your tasks are unorganized, your mind avoids them. When you don't know exactly what to do, procrastination becomes the default. That's why planning is an essential part of discipline. When you clearly define your next step, your mind becomes free to act. Clarity kills procrastination. And finally, forgive yourself. Procrastination often becomes worse because people feel guilty about it. Guilt creates shame. Shame creates avoidance. Avoidance creates more procrastination. It becomes a painful loop. Break it by showing yourself compassion. You are not failing. You are learning. You are not weak. You are growing. You are not behind. You are beginning now. Self-forgiveness opens the door to self-discipline. Your life will change the moment you stop waiting for the perfect moment and start acting in the present one. The small step you avoid today is the step that could have changed your tomorrow. Do not let procrastination become your identity. You are stronger than your delays. And your future is waiting for your discipline. Lesson 8. Consistency is your greatest superpower, not talent or motivation. Most people think success comes from talent, intelligence, or luck. They believe that some people are naturally gifted, born with special abilities, or blessed with opportunities that others don't have. But the truth is completely different. The most powerful force behind every success story is not talent. It is consistency. Talent might make you start fast, but consistency makes you finish strong. Intelligence may help you understand things quickly, but consistency helps you master them. Motivation may push you today, but consistency pushes you every day. Consistency is the quiet superpower that ordinary people use to achieve extraordinary things. It is the ability to repeat simple actions again and again until they create massive transformation. It is the ability to keep going when results are slow. It is the patience to build brick by brick, day by day, habit by habit. The truth is, even the smallest actions, when repeated consistently, become unstoppable. A page a day becomes a book. 10 minutes of studying becomes a new skill. A simple workout becomes a stronger body. 5 minutes of English listening becomes better fluency. Consistency turns small efforts into big results. The reason consistency is so powerful is because it shapes identity. Every time you repeat an action, you cast a vote for the kind of person you want to become. When you study daily, even for a short time, you begin to think of yourself as a good student. When you show up for your goals every day, you begin to trust yourself. When you make progress regularly, your confidence grows quietly, steadily, deeply. Most people fail not because they work too little, but because they stop completely. They work for 3 days, then stop for 3 weeks. They start with excitement, then disappear with excuses. And then they wonder why nothing changes. Remember this: consistency beats intensity. Anyone can work hard for 1 day, but very few people can work steadily for 30 days. Anyone can start something, but very few can continue. Anyone can feel motivated, but very few can stay committed. The difference between the person you are and the person you want to be is not huge leaps. It is small steps repeated without giving up. Success is not built in big moments. It is built in daily decisions. And those daily decisions require discipline, not motivation. When you stay consistent long enough, even your weakest areas become your strengths. When you stay consistent long enough, even impossible goals become achievable. When you stay consistent long enough, you become unstoppable because you no longer depend on moods or motivation. You depend on habits. The world usually praises talent, but life rewards consistency. Opportunities open for people who show up. Doors unlock for people who persist. And miracles happen for people who don't quit after the excitement fades. Your consistency is the bridge between your present and your future. So build it every day, even on days when progress feels small. Because one day you will look back and realize that your small efforts built a big life. Lesson 9. Build self-respect through discipline. Because self-respect changes everything. Most people think discipline is only about productivity, routine, or achieving goals. But the truth is far deeper. The real purpose of discipline is to build self-respect. When you constantly break promises to yourself, something breaks inside you. You stop trusting your own words. You stop believing in your own potential. You stop seeing yourself as someone capable of success. Even if you don't say it out loud, your heart feels it. I don't finish what I start. I can't depend on myself. I don't have control over my life. And this quiet loss of self-respect is far more painful than any failure. But the opposite is also true. Every time you do what you said you would do, every time you show up when it's hard, every time you choose progress over excuses, every time you control your impulses, every time you keep a small promise to yourself, you add one more brick to your inner strength. You begin to look at yourself differently. You feel proud, capable, dependable. You walk differently. You speak differently. You think differently. You trust yourself. And when you trust yourself, you become unstoppable. Self-respect is the foundation of confidence. Confidence is the foundation of courage. Courage is the foundation of success. And all three begin with discipline. When you lack self-respect, you live with fear. Fear of failure, fear of judgment, fear of trying. You avoid challenges because you don't believe you can handle them. You settle for less because you don't believe you deserve more. You stop dreaming because you don't trust your ability to achieve anything. But the moment discipline enters your life, everything changes. You slowly begin to realize, I can do hard things. I can keep going. I am stronger than I thought. I can build the life I want. Self-respect makes you emotionally stronger. People's opinions don't break you. Temporary failures don't frighten you. Discomfort doesn't stop you. You begin to live from the inside out instead of the outside in. Discipline gives you the ability to stand tall even when life becomes heavy. And here's the beautiful truth. You don't build self-respect by doing big, dramatic things. You build it through small, consistent victories. Wake up when you said you would. Study for the minutes you promised. Listen to English for the time you committed. Eat the meal you planned. Keep the routine you designed. Finish the task you started. Each small victory whispers to your soul, I can trust myself. Self-respect grows quietly, but once it grows, it transforms everything. You stop begging for validation. You stop explaining your life to others. You stop depending on opinions. You start depending on yourself. And a person who respects themselves becomes unstoppable because they are no longer fighting the world. They are rising from within. Lesson 10. Understand that discipline creates freedom, not restriction. Many people avoid discipline because they believe it takes away their freedom. They think discipline means losing comfort, losing pleasure, losing relaxation, losing spontaneity. But this is one of the biggest misunderstandings of life. The truth is this: a life without discipline is the life that is truly restricted. And a life with discipline is the life that becomes free, powerful, and in your control. Think about it deeply. When you don't have discipline, you are controlled by your impulses. When you don't have discipline, you are ruled by your emotions. When you don't have discipline, you become a prisoner of procrastination. When you don't have discipline, you depend on mood instead of purpose. When you don't have discipline, life pushes you around like a leaf in the wind. Is that freedom? No. That is the opposite of freedom. It is slavery to your own weaknesses. But when you build discipline, everything changes. Discipline gives you financial freedom. Because you save consistently, work consistently, learn consistently, and build consistently. Discipline gives you mental freedom. Because you are no longer fighting yourself every day. Your mind becomes stable, clear, and focused. Discipline gives you emotional freedom. Because you are no longer reacting to every feeling. You learn how to guide your emotions instead of being controlled by them. Discipline gives you freedom of time. Because you stop wasting your hours on distractions and start using them to create the life you want. Discipline gives you freedom of opportunity. Because consistent effort opens doors that talent alone never can. People without discipline feel overwhelmed because life controls them. People with discipline feel peace because they control life. Discipline is not a prison. It is a passport. A passport to a life where you are in charge. A life where you choose your direction intentionally. A life where your days are meaningful instead of chaotic. A life where you build instead of react. The most successful people in the world are not the ones who work the hardest. They are the ones who use their time wisely, consistently, and purposefully. That is discipline. And that discipline creates a life where you wake up each day knowing you are moving closer to your dreams, not further away. Imagine a life where you don't panic during exams, you don't fear the future, you don't drown in procrastination, you don't run from challenges, you don't waste your potential, you don't feel lost, confused, or stuck. Imagine a life where every day feels purposeful. Imagine a life where you look in the mirror and respect the person you see. Imagine a life where you know, truly know, that your actions are building something meaningful, that life begins with discipline. Not tomorrow, not someday, but the moment you decide to take control. Discipline does not take away your freedom. It gives it back to you. Lesson 11. Discipline grows. When you learn to keep your word to yourself. One of the most powerful forms of discipline is the discipline of keeping promises. Not to others, but to yourself. Most people keep commitments when someone else is watching, when someone else is depending on them, when someone else expects something from them. But the moment no one is watching, their discipline disappears. They cancel their own plans. They delay their own goals. They break their own routines. They abandon their own dreams. And slowly, quietly, painfully, they lose trust in themselves. When you break your word to yourself again and again, a part of you begins to whisper, you don't follow through. You don't finish. You don't have the strength to stay consistent. This destroys confidence from the inside out. Confidence is not built by compliments. It is built by self-trust. And self-trust is built by keeping promises to yourself. Disciplined people understand this deeply. They know that every small promise kept strengthens their inner foundation. When they say, "I will study for 30 minutes," they do it. Not because someone else cares, but because they care. When they say, "I will wake up early tomorrow," they do, not to impress anyone, but to honor their own growth. When they say, "I will stay away from distractions," they follow through, because they refuse to betray their own future. Every commitment becomes a contract with themselves, and they treat that contract with respect. The moment you begin to keep small promises to yourself, you begin to rebuild your identity. You begin to see yourself as someone who can be trusted, someone who follows through, someone who lives with purpose. This self-trust becomes the foundation of unstoppable discipline. Start with small commitments. Simple, realistic, doable actions. Promise yourself that you will read 1 page, take a 5-minute walk, watch a 10-minute English lesson, or clean 1 small space. These small victories collect inside your mind like tiny stones building a mountain. Over time, they form a strong, confident identity inside you. The identity of someone who never quits on themselves. The moment your inner voice begins to say, "I trust you," your discipline becomes natural and your goals stop feeling impossible. The outside world becomes easier because your inner world becomes stronger. Keeping your word to yourself is not just discipline. It is self-respect in action. Lesson 12. Discipline requires you to protect your environment. Self-discipline does not grow in a chaotic environment. Even the strongest mind becomes weak when surrounded by constant noise, temptations, and distractions. Most people blame themselves for not being focused enough, but they never realize that their environment is silently working against them. The truth is simple. Your surroundings shape your habits more than your motivation does. If your room is messy, your mind becomes messy. If your desk is full of distractions, your attention becomes scattered. If your phone is filled with addictive apps, your discipline slowly collapses. The human brain is designed to take the shape of the environment, meaning your discipline will always reflect the spaces you live in. That is why highly disciplined people take their environment very seriously. They design their space in a way that supports their goals, strengthens their focus, and removes unnecessary friction for their daily routines. They understand that if the environment is organized, the mind becomes calm. If distractions are removed, discipline becomes easier. If triggers are eliminated, temptation loses power. To protect your environment means creating a physical space that aligns with your future, not your weaknesses. Keep your study area clean and minimalistic so your mind feels calm the moment you sit down. Keep your phone far away when you work so your concentration becomes deeper. Remove apps that pull your attention into endless scrolling. Silence notifications that steal your time. Surround yourself with people who respect your goals, not those who question them. Build a life where distractions are inconvenient and discipline becomes the natural choice. When your environment is designed for success, discipline stops feeling like a battle. It becomes the easiest and most logical way to live. Your environment also includes the emotional atmosphere around you. If you live in a space filled with negativity, chaos, and drama, your discipline will always struggle. Emotional noise is just as harmful as digital noise. Protect your energy by limiting the time you spend with people who drain your mind. Distance yourself from those who constantly complain, criticize, or discourage your dreams. Your emotional environment influences your internal strength, and your internal strength influences your discipline. When your environment supports your goals, your discipline becomes 10 times stronger. When your environment weakens your goals, your discipline collapses no matter how hard you try. Change your environment, and your discipline will rise with it. You don't need more willpower. You need fewer distractions. You don't need more motivation. You need a space that pushes you toward the right choices. Make your environment a partner, not an enemy. Make your surroundings quiet, clean, and goal-focused. And you will begin to notice something powerful. Self-discipline becomes easier, smoother, and more natural than ever before. Because the strongest version of you grows in a space that protects your focus, your time, and your peace. Closing message. As we come to the end of this journey, I want you to pause, breathe, and acknowledge something important. You didn't just listen to a lesson. You walked through ideas that can reshape your entire life. Discipline is not a punishment, not a burden, not a restriction. It is a gift you give to your future self, a protection, a promise, a quiet form of self-love. Every small action you take from today, waking up with purpose, studying with focus, controlling distractions, choosing long-term vision, keeping your promises. These are not just habits, they are bricks. And every brick builds the foundation of a stronger, wiser, more powerful version of you. You don't need to be perfect. You don't need to change everything overnight. You just need to keep moving. Slowly, steadily, consistently. Remember, your future is shaped by what you do when no one is watching. Your character grows in silence. Your strength grows in small decisions. Your discipline grows one day at a time. And even if today was difficult, even if you failed before, even if you are starting again, you are trying. And that alone is proof that you are capable of becoming more. So as you leave this video, take this truth with you. The disciplined version of you is already inside you, waiting for you to choose it. Choose it today. Choose it tomorrow. Choose it every single day. And one day, you will look back and realize that this was the moment your life began to change. Thank you for listening. Thank you for growing. And remember, you are stronger than your excuses, braver than your fears, and capable of more than you have ever imagined.